So the report introduces three major new concepts. One of them is the sufficiency concept. We define sufficiency as all the policy measures that avoid the demand for energy, materials, water, and land, while providing well-being for all within planetary boundaries. And in the case of buildings, so the report shows that the lack of sufficiency measures over the period 1990-2019 has led to an increase of emissions by 52%. And the whole report is, the whole literature in this report is assessed for buildings, is assessed using the framework sufficiency, efficiency, renewable. So one of the biggest novelties in this report compared to AR5 is to show, is the introduction of the sufficiency concept, and to show an estimate of sufficiency, the lack of sufficiency in the past on emissions, and what is this, how sufficiency could contribute in the future to climate mitigation of buildings. So this is the first thing. The other important point that was introduced in this report regarding buildings is to provide, to estimate emissions considering scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3 emissions. Scope 1 are direct emissions that occur within buildings. Scope 2 are indirect emissions that are related to the production of electricity and heat. And scope 3 are emissions related to the use of cement and steel in buildings. And we show that in 2019, for example, emissions from the use of cement and steel represented 18% out of the 12 gigaton global emissions from buildings. The third innovation in this report is that there is more scientific evidence about the fact that zero energy and zero carbon, it depends how it's labeled in different countries, is achievable in several regions in the world. And it is achievable for new and existing buildings. These are the three major innovations that this report brings to the international community. We need to look at emissions in the use phase, in the operation phase, but also emissions in the construction phase. And in the construction phase, there are two major actions to reduce emissions, and we show this in our report. So sufficiency measures allow us to construct only the square meters that are needed, to avoid the over-construction of square meters that are not needed. If you avoid the over-construction of square meters, so you avoid the use of construction materials. So this is the first step. The second step is to use materials to recycle the materials as much as possible, but also to use low carbon emission materials. What we see is that by mitigating emissions from buildings, these contribute to almost all sustainable development goals. So it's not only about health, but it's also about other sustainable development goals, energy access, of course, climate action, but also ending poverty, because this would contribute to end energy poverty, for example. One of the policies is, and especially where we need to build a billion of square meters, is to consider land use and urban policies already as part of the climate mitigation policies for buildings. This is quite new. It was not used to be considered like that. And this is where sufficiency will play a role. And then followed, and at the same time, with efficient building envelope, efficient appliances and equipment, and ensuring the supply with renewable energy sources, integrating as much as possible of renewable production and the renewable solutions to buildings, and then supplying the remaining energy need with electricity and heat and or cool produced by using renewable energy sources.